Hey, it's Wilfur. So the Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer, has announced just recently that Britain will introduce a mandatory digital ID with the apparent goal of cracking down on illegal activity and to quote-unquote modernize the state.
And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
But is it really as simple as that? Is it ever? Let's take a closer look at this. Because we've seen how these things play out in other countries. We've even seen warnings about them in fiction. And while in the UK it's being framed as something modern, efficient, and safe, what starts small grows into something much bigger and much harder to escape. There's plenty of voices out there flashing warning signs that this will end up like that classic example where you put up one side of a fence around a flock of sheep and they think, oh, that's strange, but it doesn't really change how I move around. Then you add another side, and then you close the gate, and the herd, without even realizing, has willingly walked itself right into a prison. Starmer has said that if you don't have a Brit card, you cannot legally work in the UK. The government promises it will be free, as if they're doing everybody a favor, but that's beside the point. The Brit card will be stored on a gov.uk wallet app and accessible to anyone with the right to live or work there. Legislation, by the way, has already passed back in June, with public consultations coming later this year, and the government plans for the system to be fully mandatory by 2029. The sales pitch is efficiency, cracking down on illegal work, protecting borders, transparency, and simply to keep up with an evolving world where things are moving more and more towards a digital standard. That all sounds fair enough, in theory, but we've got plenty of examples in fiction where digital identity systems don't stop at convenience, they morph into full-blown surveillance and tools of control. George Orwell's 1984, V for Vendetta, or that one episode from Black Mirror where your social rating determines where you can live, who you can marry, even what services you can and cannot access. Not to mention, we already have actual real-life examples where countries already have something very similar, and the downsides greatly outweigh the benefits. China famously has its own social credit system where IDs are tied to banking, travel, healthcare, even how much you shop online. If you get flagged for bad behavior over there, suddenly you can't buy a plane ticket, can't book a hotel, can't get a loan, and the consequences scale up directly proportional to how much of a pariah you've become in the eyes of the government. India has the largest biometric ID system in the world, and while it has reportedly brought the benefit of streamlining welfare payments, it has also had huge data leaks, exposing the private details of millions of citizens. Nigeria also rolled out its national identification number, so now citizens who don't have it can't open bank accounts or even keep their SIM cards active. Imagine what happens when you step out of line and speak up against the government. No more bank account for you, and you can no longer use your phone. You are essentially shunned from society. Personally, I don't have any close connections to the UK, so I guess you could say it's an isolated case that doesn't really affect me or much of the world's population. So then why does it matter? Because these systems never stay limited. Today it's work checks, right? That's what Keir Starmer said. It's for optimizing work checks. But tomorrow it's renting, banking, travel. What if you need a life-saving transplant and they go, sorry, your credit score is too low, no kidney for you today. You see, unlike a passport that's in your pocket, a digital ID can be tracked in real time. Every verification leaves a data trail. Who's checking that data? Who's storing it? Who else gets access to it? And what about people who can't keep up with the tech? Old people, for example. People who don't want to use a smartphone. People who can't afford a smartphone. There's plenty of categories that risk becoming second-class citizens, locked out of basic day-to-day life situations. And even worse, if the government or even a hacker controls this system, they control you. Turn off someone's ID and you've essentially erased them from society. Now, there's already been pushback against this initiative, with over 1.6 million people in Britain signing a petition to shut it down. Silky Carlo, director of Big Brother Watch, warns that this would create a domestic mass surveillance infrastructure that will likely sprawl from citizenship to benefits, tax, health, possibly even internet data, and more. In response to that, the Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy came out and said that the government has, and I quote, no intention of pursuing a dystopian mess. Oh good, it's all fine guys, they have no intention of pursuing mass surveillance. I guess we can all let out a big sigh of relief then. And in a further attempt to calm down the public opinion, the Prime Minister himself argued that the Brit card will bring, and I quote, countless benefits like being able to prove your identity to access key services swiftly rather than hunting around for an old utility bill. Now I don't know about you guys, but I would rather have to search for that utility bill for 15 minutes every time I'm being asked for it. But you know what the irony is though? Polls show that the current government has little to no legitimacy anymore in the eyes of the public. As of recording this, 82% of people are dissatisfied with how they're running the UK. The Prime Minister has an approval rating of 13%, so they're in no position to push this kind of legislature through, in spite of public outcries. Konstantin Kisin made a great point on this topic, and he says, imagine that governments which routinely arrest people for jokes and memes, locked people in their homes during COVID, and think half the country is far right, have these tools at their disposal. And if half the country really is far right and are about to elect that evil fascist Herr Farage, you want him to have this control infrastructure at his disposal? Which is a great point, because currently in the polls, Reform UK is leading by a landslide and has been gaining a lot of momentum. So by all appearances, or at least the way things stand right now, it looks like Nigel Farage is very likely to be the next Prime Minister. What's the logic in creating this intricate system of control and mass surveillance on your way out and just handing it over to your worst enemy? It just does not make any sense whatsoever.
People are very disappointed with the pace of change in government, disenchanted with mainstream politics. They're losing trust in our ability to deliver the change that they want to see.
It's funny that he knows exactly what's going on, but he's like, people are disenchanted with mainstream politics. Oh, I wonder why. Well, sir, you are the very face of mainstream politics in the UK. So what exactly are we talking about here?
The way I see it, this is the defining political choice of our times. A politics of predatory grievance, preying on the problems of working people and using that infrastructure of division against the politics of patriotic renewal.
You will hear him say the word renewal a bunch of times throughout this speech, by the way.
Renewal, renewal, renewal. But renewal, you also need renewal.
So basically, his entire speech can be summed up like this. I know we've been doing a shit job running this country and you no longer trust us, so we will do the only thing that can be done in this situation. Introduce a mandatory mass surveillance system that is free of charge for you. You're welcome for that, by the way.
Now, this will create good jobs, but it will also take the boot of tyrants like Putin off our throat, doing right by our values and by our countries and our citizens. We must be the patriots. We must be the nation builders. We must show working people that we and only we can deliver the pride and belonging they seek. Their communities strong, cohesive, change for the better, taking control of our future, tackling the big challenges. That is how we win. That is how we rebuild. That's how renewal defeats grievance.
Is it really? Is that really the best solution that you could come up with? Is that how we win? Because to be honest, I don't really think so.